I'm Amber Davies and welcome to Call to Stage. This is the space where musical theatre takes centre stage. From unforgettable backstage stories with incredible special guests to insights from my life and my theatre journey. We're leaving it all on the mic every single week, so let's jump in. Hi guys, welcome back to Call to Stage with me, Amber Davies, and the incredibly talented John Dagleish.
You're ever so kind. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
It's an honour to have you here.
It's lovely to be here.
Before we start, I do want to say I got invited down by the wonderful Richard Darbourne to come and see his new production of Benjamin Button, and I've got to say I'm a massive fan of the film.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I know the musical is based on the book.
Loosely. Yeah.
Loosely. A mixture of both?
Well, what Jethro's been really clever in, so Jethro Compton, who wrote it, directed it, designed it, a man of many hats, I think he's one of the producers as well. He took the kind of seed of Benjamin Button being a man who's born old and ages backwards. Mm-hmm. And that's literally the only thing that remains from the F. Scott Fitzgerald short story.
Wow.
So everything else has been completely changed. The location, we've moved from America to Cornwall.
Yes.
Set slightly earlier, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And then all of the other characters are completely made up.
Made up.
Jethro. So it's all his imagination and a kind of a love letter for the place where he grew up in Cornwall. But it sort of fits really nicely with the kind of folky Celtic shanty theme because it's all quite nautical and fisherman-y.
Yeah. And I think when you think of Benjamin Button, it is about this man going, born old, getting younger. So I knew that was the story. But oh my gosh, I have never seen a piece of theatre like this. I was screaming it from the rooftops. You and the entire cast, it's like not even triple threat. You can't even put, it's like star quality across the whole stage.
They're amazing, aren't they? Yeah.
Even the way you go, and I really want to get into that, how you go from old to young and how you discovered that. It's so real. It's so believable.
Good. I'm glad you said that.
The music is stunning.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it?
If you have the opportunity to go and see this show, go and see it. Go. And don't run.
Go again. And then bring all your friends.
Don't walk, run. We will get into it because I want to go back to the start of the life. But is it just incredible to be a part of every night?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like, it's one of those ones that doesn't feel like work, It's such a cliche, and I know we say it all the time, but it has become like a real family, that group. It's something about creating the whole thing with the people on stage. There's no pit band, there's no MD. We don't have an MD.
No.
There's no, there's just literally the people on stage are the only people that create the show. Oh, obviously all the stage management and MDs and costume and everyone else, but like there's some sort of, I think because of that, there's a sense of ownership that makes it really sort of galvanizes the group as a real entity.
And you can really see that off stage.
Oh, good.
You can tell. That's one thing I said to Richard. I said, they all love each other so much. They all get along. Yeah. You could see people having eye contact at a certain point. Yeah. There was a lot of fun and joy.
Never felt so supported on stage before. On and off stage by the company. Yeah. We do this amazing thing before we do every show where we dedicate each show to something. So it might be someone's got a family member in, and then they'll talk about that family member and how important they are and what they've done, how it might relate to some of the themes of the show.
Oh my gosh.
But because we do that every day after warm-up, we gather in a little huddle and we take... Sorry. just get my old MC days back on. Because we gather in a little huddle after warm-up, sort of take it in turns. Whoever wants to dedicate, it might be someone who's in, or a poem, or an idea, or a song. I think the other day it got dedicated to Bone Daddies because someone was just really a big fan of Bone Daddies on that day. But it just means that each show is kind of bespoke. So you have an idea in the back of your head about today I'm thinking about Matt's mum and dad who are in, because there's this story, the beautiful story that he told about how they met, or something like that. There was one the other day.
Beautiful idea.
It's lovely, and for a long run, as you know, it really helps to not break it up, but make each show its own entity and stops it all from
Molding
kind
into
of
one.
merging into this big muddy mess of you're like, well, we did that last week, and someone will go, that was 3 months ago. And you're like, oh God, yeah.
It does. It changes. Although the show stays the same, your intention might just be a little bit different.
Yeah. And it
just fresh.
It just means as well that when you're saying the lines that you've said 200 times, that sometimes they just take on a whole new meaning. You know, we had a lovely dedication the other day, and it was from someone who's an uncle in their family who was a retired priest, and he'd been looking after his congregation his whole life, dedicated his life to his flock, you know. And then one Christmas, they would invite that, you know, over Christmas they would invite him around, and he said, "Oh, I can't come this year because I've made a friend, and I don't know if it would be appropriate for me to bring my friend to Christmas dinner." And obviously the family being lovely, we're like, "Bring your friend, absolutely bring your friend." He's now living with his husband. They've just bought their first house together. And they met when they were 60, after he's lived his whole life as sort of, you know, hidden from, you know, not living his true self.
Oh my gosh.
And it meant that some of the words of some of those songs just had nothing to do with the theme of the show, but take on a completely new life, you know. There's a song that I sing towards the end where I sing, "All my life I've been hiding like that lonely old man, locked away in that house by the sea." And I knew that he was there in the audience with his partner. And like knowing the effect that line might have on him, I was gone, you know, just... Yeah. I always find it's such a useful tool for breaking up a long run.
That is a good tip.
And galvanizes us all as a group again even more, because you're just sharing stories, and that's what we do in our life.
I'm like a sucker for things like that. That's really got me. And if, you know, I will be taking that into future contracts. And one more thing before, honestly, I've got so many things to ask about Benjamin Button. Who keeps the tempo? Who creates the tempo?
So between the group, it's usually, sometimes it's the drums. So it's usually like a little, and then we're in.
Okay.
So like you might get like half a bar to set the tempo, or it'll be whoever's furthest downstage so that everyone has an eye on them. It's usually Matt. So Matt Burns is our sort of music associate, and he's on stage playing. He does a lot of the narration.
Yeah. Yes,
he's
I know.
One of the main guitar players. He plays a lot of the drums. So he might just do a little like, and then we're in, you know. Or sometimes it's just a breath, like something down tempo. Yeah. But because they're all such incredible musicians, they listen and they keep that tempo, you know. It's amazing. But it does mean, which is also quite refreshing, that the show is slightly different every night. So sometimes the tempo is a little bit more pushed than others, and you're like, this is banging tonight, you know. And other times it's a little bit more on the back foot and a bit more relaxed. Like, again, it's another thing that keeps it super fresh, because we're all doing it in situ on stage in front of you. I think it's another thing about being an audience member watching a show like that, is that it is just, story aside, emotions aside, it's just impressive. Yeah. It's like, wow, look at them doing all that. I'm hearing everything that they're doing, like, and I can see everyone playing.
So impressive.
Yeah.
It's like breathtakingly impressive.
Yeah. It feels a bit like the future though, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, not to put down the amazing work that pit bands do, but they are coming in and they're reading it off a piece of paper. They can swap it in and out because they have a whole depth system. So if someone's not available, great musician could come in, read it, play it, fine. But there's something about the actor-musician thing where you've got the musician brain and the actor brain going at the same time. So you've got the musician brain, which is one about perfection. It's like the only art form where anything other than perfection would I always say this is such a cliched thing, but I'll say it again on this one, because if I painted your picture and I got 10% of the details wrong, it would still probably be quite, well, not that I'm a good artist, but like if I was a half decent artist and I got 10% of the details wrong, it would still probably be quite a good picture.
Yeah.
If I played a piece of music and I got 10% of the notes wrong, it would sound an absolute mess.
Yeah.
So like there's that musician's brain, which is all about perfection, that lends itself to the acting side when they're doing the acting. But then also when they're playing the music, you've got the actor brain, which is all about empathy and storytelling and emotion, lending everything that has to the playing of the music. So it has this amazing kind of feedback loop where they inform each other all the way through.
And as well, I've got to say, and it's not just one instrument.
No.
There was one, I was watching this guy,
with
right?
Long curly hair.
He'd given me a big high note.
Right.
And then playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And then he was on the drums.
Yeah.
I thought, do you want to do anything else?
Yeah, no, they're amazing. I think there's 13 of us, And I think between the 13, there's 40 instruments that get played between the 13 people.
And then the most impressive thing, I'm impressed by this whole thing, you know, like the most impressive thing I said, so what's the swing system?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got told that there isn't really one. And basically on stage cast will say, I'll take that line tonight.
Yeah.
My mic has dropped.
Yeah. Yeah, we have only on-stage swings, which is mind-blowing for a long-running West End show. Yeah, they had two extra people come in for this run after they did it last year in Southwark, quite a small-scale one.
Yeah.
And those two people, Elliot Mackenzie and Katie Ellis, have basically had to learn everybody's lines, everybody's musical parts as well. They're both multi-instrumentalists, and they're both on stage doing their own track anyway. The madness of that, though, is that when anyone goes off, like obviously because it's a long run, you have to do holidays for people as well.
Yeah.
So there's guaranteed times when people will be off. It's not like understudies sitting there going, I wonder if I'll ever get on.
Yeah.
People are definitely going on because they have to do holidays. But when one of the main characters is off and they fill in, it means that someone has to fill in what's then missing from them filling in. So there's this constant...
shift.
I don't think we've done the same show more than 2 or 3 times since just before New Year. It's been different every single night with different people playing it.
Is literally, I'm speechless.
It's nuts, isn't it?
But it's
and
also
yet it works.
epic.
Yeah.
Also, I definitely would love to have been a part of that.
It's one of those like gargantuan efforts. Every single night is like, right, what are we going to cover tonight? And yet every night it works and it happens, with the magic of theatre being that it just, I don't know how we managed to do it, but it's still happening. We're still going on 8 times a week. Yeah.
And you got flying reviews.
I haven't read any of them. I've seen some of the stars. I
look at the stars and the stars only.
That's enough for me. Yeah.
And I saw the stars and I thought deserved.
Oh, bless. Yeah, I think even a good review can mess you up, because it can make you aware of the things that you're doing that you're not aware that you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't you love it when and you're like, oh my God, am I doing that?
Yeah.
Or maybe I should do more of that.
Yeah, I'll lean
they
into
like
that.
that. I'll definitely do more of that. And then you corrupt your performance with someone, like one person's idea of what it should be. And you go, oh, maybe I should change my whole thing. You're like, no, just stick to your guns.
Stick to whatever you're doing, because it works. Everything works. Mm-hmm. Right, I've done this all backwards, because normally I start my sessions with what's your pre-show ritual. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I just had to ask all those questions about Benjamin Button. But for Benjamin, have you got a specific pre-show ritual that you do, whether that's have a tea or have a certain sweet?
Not really. I'm partial to a Jakeman's, as we all are. As we all are, lifesavers. For those that know, they know. I don't have too much of a ritual. I like to get there fairly early. I like to not be in a rush. That's really important. And then, like I say, we have this lovely group warm up and this sort of coming together in a huddle before each show, and that just sets us in the mood for what we're about to do. It gives us all a little moment of connection with each other, which I've never had before in a show. Never had any like group ritual like that before, and it really helps.
It's a company ritual, really, for you all.
Yeah, it's a proper old school ensemble vibe in that building. A company of actors working together. It's such a lovely job to be a part of. They're all just and they all love it. They apart from me and Claire and Elliot and Katie, I was talking about earlier, our amazing covers. Everyone that was in it was in the previous incarnation at Southwark. I think it was just, I say last year, but I forget that we were in another year now. The year before last. And also,
it was pre-pandemic. There was a workshop of it.
Yes. So I think it started off Guildford School of Music, because that's where they have a big actor muso course.
Yes.
And then I think it was a 5-hander at the small space at the Elephant and Castle Southwark Playhouse, the original one.
And there's a woman still in the cast now who was in that 5.
I think Matt and Pip were both in that, yeah. So Philippa, who's on this week for Claire, actually, because Claire's on holiday.
Oh, amazing.
I don't know if I should say that one. Yeah, but anyway.
No, because this is going out in months.
Sure, fine. She's had her holiday. It was lovely, yeah. She's very well rested. Come and see her now. She's had a lovely kip.
Jealous.
Yeah, I want to be in New York watching plays. Damn you, Claire. Anyway. Pip's still in it and Matt's still in it, and they are They are like the heart of our ensemble, those two. They've been with it the longest. It's like their baby, you know. I think they have as much ownership of it in their heart as Darren Clark and Jethro Compton, the creators of it. It's just lovely to be on a long run where nobody's complaining about being in a long run. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you know. Yeah, right, yeah. We all know.
Yeah, we know.
We've all been in companies where there's usually one person that's just like, I don't want to be here. You're like, well, then why are you here?
Because there's like 10 people I can think of that would love to be here.
Exactly. I always think about when I went to drama school, the kind of nearly 30 or so people that aren't doing it anymore, that loved it and that wanted to do it and that didn't get the opportunity to do it professionally. And it always grounds you, that idea of like, well, I'm living this dream that so many people didn't have the opportunity to do, you know.
It's like you know what I'm thinking of next. Where did you train? Because I deep dived hard.
Yeah, there's not much. I've not got much of an online footprint.
I was thinking, is this guy a felon or something? Yeah. Because
secret spy.
I had to really get in the cracks.
So I went to Drama Centre, which was Chalk Farm originally, and then we were in Farringdon for a while. Then it came just around the corner here in King's Cross.
Okay.
It doesn't exist anymore. It was one of those courses where it was too expensive. I think it became part of Central St Martin's, and when it made the transition to become part of a big university, the university were then in control of the funding of it, and then the funding of it was like, this is no longer viable for us. Yeah. So 60 years of tradition have gone completely. It just doesn't exist. And Drama Centre, when it was first came around, was like the rebellion to what all the other drama schools were doing. So all the other drama schools in the 60s were doing like this old, forsooth, my lord, maybe, very classical kind of way of performing and acting. And Drama Centre was the first ones that brought into training the idea of like Stanislavski and Actors Studio stuff that they do in New York. I was blessed in my very first term to have an amazing teacher called Ruben Adiv, who taught Marilyn Monroe, James Dean, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro at the Actors Studio in London. Came over, we had him for a term, and then he passed away, and he was just incredible. A brilliant, very old, wise drama teacher, you know.
I would tell people that every day if I was you.
He was amazing. Like just a beautiful way of observing people and pointing out things and saying, hey, what is your hand doing here? And you go, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's... He goes, no, I don't need to know. You need to know.
Wow.
You're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I need to work out why my hand is doing this weird thing. You know?
How long was your training for?
3 years.
It was 3 years.
But I did it quite late. So I only went there when I was 23.
Wow.
Yeah, I left when I was 26.
So did you go to university before that?
No, I moved to London when I was like 17. Just like with that whole, I'm going to move to London and be an actor, without ever meeting an actor before. Didn't know any actors, didn't know anyone who could be an actor, never knew anyone that had made a living of it. I just was like, this is what I want to do. Moved to London, got a little flat above a Pizza Hut in Willesden Green, and tried to get an agent, and then eventually got an agent from the back page of the stage, which all the good agents advertise, don't they? We know that. And they took a fee, which is now illegal to do, before they got me any work. So I think I paid them £100 of like admin fee. And then I did adverts for about 5 years while I was living a slightly hedonistic lifestyle, being out of the house for the first time and living on my own. So I was working in nightclubs and restaurants and bars and things like that.
Life experience.
Yeah, exactly. And then I saw The Pillow Man at the National Theatre with David Tennant and Jim Broadbent and Adam Godley and Nigel Lindsay, Martin McDonagh's big play event. And I didn't know that theatre could be like that. Okay. And I was just like, you know those shows that you see where you're like angry that you're not in it? You're like,
that could have been me.
I just want to be in this world now. And so I just applied to all the drama schools then at 23, and Drama Centre seemed to be the one that fit me the best. Yeah. It was like offering strict regime, which I needed after 5 years of living quite a full-on lifestyle beforehand. Yeah. And then I got my agent in the last term of that, showcases and things like that. That's the good thing about going to a good drama school back then, was that all the good agents were guaranteed to come. I don't know what it's like now. I think it must be a very different world now.
I think it is similar. Yeah. You know, I know that like I graduated in 2006. 16.
Sure.
And that was the case. You know,
Yeah.
agents came and they picked you up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think things start to change really quickly now.
The industry's so different now. Even, you know, I was 26 when I started, so I've been doing it in like 18 years now. So it's very different to how I remember. This is pre-streamers, all the pre-iPlayer and all that stuff, when TV contracts were good. But yeah,
I mean, look, okay, we've got theatre, we've got films, we've got TV. You've done quite a lot, really, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess I've been really,
around the block.
I've been really lucky that I've never been sort of pigeonholed in a way.
And that your CV really.
Yeah, it's mental.
Really does show that. I'm just going to list some stuff. Sunny Afternoon. You won an Olivier for that, Best Actor in a Musical. Was that your debut?
That was my West End debut and my first ever musical. Yeah.
And you won an Olivier?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was all downhill from there.
It was terrible after that. Well, that was the weird thing. I remember that night of the Oliviers, they sort of producers and people were saying, look, it's nice to be nominated, but it's your first time being nominated. I was up against some amazing, like Killian, who'd been nominated a couple of times before, John Briones, who'd been nominated for his engineer in Miss Saigon all over the world. So I was just like, it's nice to be among this company. So I was pretty sure I wasn't going to win. So I didn't prepare anything and then had to give a speech in front of like looking across the front row and you're like, oh, there's Ian McKellen and there's Gillian Anderson. And you're like, oh my God, I'm talking in front of these people. Like, it was the most surreal evening. That. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, when nice things happen when you're not expecting them, that's the best. I mean, if you're expecting them to happen, it's a bit like, who do you think you are? Like, oh yeah, this is a shoe-in. Yeah. I don't know. It was a very bizarre evening. And then as soon as I had the award in my hand and I was walking off stage, Brian May and Anita Dobson were waiting in the wings to announce the next one. And they'd been massive champions of the show because it's a rock and roll show. Yeah. I just found myself in this bizarre Brian May and Anita Dobson sandwich hug with this Olivier in my hand. I was just like, this is a very strange evening. A very strange
Is this real?
Yeah. And then you're left with it. You're like, what do I do with it?
Have you still got it?
Yeah. But I mean, like for the night, you're like, what? I'm just carrying this big lump of metal around with you. And I remember waking up in the morning and my hands smelled like coins. Yeah. That kind of like, that's very strange.
The smell of the Olivier.
Smell of success. Yeah.
Money. And then A Midsummer's Night Dream. This is I only took a section, you know, there's a lot more. A Winter's Tale, The Mother, King, Common at the National. You've done 2 stuff at the Old Vic, Christmas Carol, Sylvia. Spike at the Watermill.
Oh, that was a fun job. Have you worked at the Watermill?
Not yet.
Such a lovely place to work.
Yet.
It's like being in the Shire. It is like the most beautiful location you could imagine. This little hamlet with a river that runs through into the Watermill, and they've got the old mill that's still going inside the auditorium. But I think it was something like the son of the family that owns the estate, while the mum and dad were out, decided to take a chainsaw to one of their barns and create a theatre.
Oh,
so that's how it started, I believe. So the story goes.
Tale?
Yeah. But if you get the chance to work there, it's amazing. And Paul Hart, who runs it's an absolute sweetheart. Yeah.
Everyone's always just have had the best experience.
Yeah, it's where they did a really successful Lord of the Rings musical there just recently, which is now, I think, on tour all around the world. Another Actor Muso show. Yeah. Breaking through. Yeah.
I'm the fan of that now. You know, everything else feels a little bit less impressive now.
Well, it seems a bit untapped, doesn't it? You feel like, well, if that resource is there, why isn't it everywhere?
Benjamin Button, I've got a couple of questions I want to ask about your journey with that. Films, The Little Mermaid, Matilda the Musical, Christopher Robin, Mary Poppins Returns, Justice League, The Gentleman. It's just like so impressive. You're like so impressive. TV, Netflix's 3 Body Parts, Sexy Beast, The Dragon Slayer, Silent Witness, The Bill. Yeah. Iconic.
Of that. I mean, it very much puts you in a generation of actors, The Bill, doesn't it? It's like, does. Oh, you did The Bill. Oh, you must be fairly old then. Yeah. I think I was in one of the last episodes of The Bill. I think I broke it.
Really?
I did The Bill and I broke the bill. I broke the bill. This is my claim to fame,
Before I ask the last little bit about Benjamin, being part of a film production, Is it? I've never been on a film set before. Mm-hmm. Is it worlds away from the realm of theatre?
Yeah, like a different job. Yeah, it's all you. You do all your homework. You know, usually very little rehearsal. You probably won't get to, depending on the kind of ilk of who you're working with, you might not get together with them until you're on set in front of a camera.
Okay.
So you're having to do all of your homework, make some decisions, you know, be as fully prepared as you can. This is me anyway. I'm not saying that everybody on a film set is that prepared.
Really good tips.
But be prepared, because there's no time to be like, I just need a moment for my process. They're like, no, we're filming this now. That's homework, what you're talking about. So come with ideas, show them something, try it different ways. You know, theatre's like being on a roller coaster. This thing comes down over your shoulders and you're like, right, I'm in. Till the end of the ride, I can't get out. This is it. This gives you the luxury of trying it different ways, having a little discussion in between, trying it again, you know. But then once you've done it, that's it. It's done and it's there forever. So there is a bit of a fear of like, oh, I wonder which. And then none of the choices that you have made are in your control as to what they're going to use anyway. So you're really trusting someone with your performance. And it's why I like to make every single take usable, because you don't know which part of it they'll use where. Like if you sort of bail halfway through a scene because you're like, oh, let me try that again, you've then lost half a take at the end where something amazing might have happened, you know. So pushing through to the end of a take to make sure that they've got the end, even if you didn't think the beginning goes well, whilst trying to keep that thought in your head of, God, the beginning of that was awful. You know.
I know. Damn it, I want to see it again.
Whilst being playful enough to try things and experiment, but knowing that might be the first and only time you do it that way, and that might be the version that they keep because a dog barked in the background or a plane went through.
But also the intensity of having a camera.
Yeah.
It's like you're so aware that there's a camera there. You know, trying to be free.
If anything, it's kind of the opposite. It's like, depending on the scale of production, like something like The Little Mermaid, where it's like a $400 million movie, where the crew is insane. You've got like 200 crew, maybe 100 extras, crane operators with lights, water machines, lightning machines, thunder machines. You're talking probably about 1,000 people all on set doing their thing, on a big boat in the back of Pinewood that's doing this, the biggest gimbal in Europe. Like it's like the whole thing is, you know, a galleon-sized boat tipping up and down like this. And yet, when it comes to a take, all of that just goes quiet. And it's just you speaking. But there's something that's sort of zen about it.
Okay.
It's like everything just goes. It's like, ba, 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 ready? Yeah, everyone did this. Yeah, this is ready. Cameras are ready. Lights are ready. Get the water ready. Get the sound ready. Yeah, everything. Check the mics. Check the playback because it's a musical. Yeah, everything. Blah, 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 blah. Earpiece is working so you can hear the sound. Blah, blah, blah. And then silence. And everything is just like, and I think you can either go, this is lovely, and I can just play, or you go, it's all about me now. Oh God, what am I going to do? You know, yeah, it's a very different vibe. Yeah.
It like makes me giddy hearing that, you know, just like.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. But then the sort of flip side of that is like the short film stuff where you've got like a skeleton crew.
Yes.
Where there might be a cameraman, a sound guy, the director, maybe like one or two art department people. You've probably got changed into your own costume or something like that. But then there's less pressure and more room for kind of play. But I think what's lovely about doing those jobs is it informs what you do on the big productions. Because if you can take the atmosphere of like 5 people in a room making a short film or making a little indie thing and have that same feeling in your head on a $400 million movie where you're like, I'm just here to play. That's all it is. It's just play. It's just pretend. It's just, you know.
We're not saving lives.
No, demystify it for yourself. I think this is one of the things that drama schools do kind of intentionally to sort of justify their existence, is to kind of make it seem mysterious in a way. Whereas the best actors that I work with stand still, look you in the eye and tell the truth. That's it. And that's, you know, the fundamentals of it. It's just like, learn your lines really, really well.
Okay.
And then play. And if you've done all that homework, you leave yourself free without inhibition because you're not worrying about what's that next bit because you know it so well, you know. I think
you ever thought about writing a book?
No. No,
I'd buy it.
John's Technique. Do you know what book that is great? David Mamet's book on acting.
Okay.
It's like this thick.
Okay.
It's basically that ethos. Stand still, look the other actor in the eye, and tell the truth. And
I will be purchasing that.
It's really good. I recommend it to anyone, especially if you're fresh out of drama school and you're swimming with all the ideas that you've been given. It just simplifies everything into like everything else is just silly voices, emoting. The idea of like you're like no. If you feel it, you feel it, and that's great. If you don't, that's also fine. You know, there are ways to fake it without having to like, I don't know, put a silly like thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very strange thing. It's a great book though.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to end it there. This like magical man.
Oh, shush.
Honestly, that I feel like I've had a lesson about my career. If you want to listen to John answering some of your questions and digging a little bit deeper with me about Benjamin Button, sign up to our Patreon on Call to Stage. Okay, thank you. See you next week.